to Mr. Biddle's AP Human Geography class. Today I'm going to walk you through important information I cover with the students the first day of class, and also it's pertinent to parents to better understand how they can help their students in my class. And again, the purpose is completely informative and helpful, hopefully, and supportive. Excuse me for the announcements.
Excuse this interruption. Freshmen, we want to thank you for an extraordinary day. When the bell rings, you are dismissed. Link leaders, when you are done today, please take a look around your locker areas and make sure those are cleaned up. And as a reminder, we will be debriefing in the gym once all of our new students have left the building. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, that was completely unexpected. I apologize. All right, so let's get started. There are 5 books in front of you. The first one on the upper left is called The Cultural Landscape. It's the 9th edition of James Rubenstein. That will be the text that was used a few years back. That text will stay at home. Students use that text to complete their key issue homework, which is going to be one of the main formative pieces of homework. Below it, right below it, is The Cultural Landscape. That book was written in 2016. That will be the textbook I use a lot of in-class content that they will not be able to complete at home, but it'll be done in class. Unfortunately, the district will not pay for a new edition, and so that will be disseminated strictly through slideshows or presentations. As this, same as the other book, which falls in between of each of these editions, that's James Rubenstein, and that was 2014. Each of these 2 texts will be the majority of information that will be shared via presentations, lectures in the class, in trying to expand on this information. And quite honestly, probably about 80% of all information found in this text is accurate in both these 2 texts, but about 20% is going to come from these texts that will not be in the text you'll keep at home. As for other texts, these are supplemental texts. These are required. One of the 2 is required. I would encourage you to get the 2018-19 Kaplan AP Human Geography book. You can do so on Amazon. The price is $11.99. And again, this will be kept at home. Students will be paced to read this during lull points of time in AP Human Geography. Or they can choose to get the harder edition, the Barron's AP. This book is written at a higher level. It's written for college-age students, whereas the AP Human Geography Kaplan is written at a 9th grade level. This one goes more in depth, so if you're a very skilled writer, this book will help you more so than the Kaplan. But if you're not really, and what I mean by skillful is college level. And then this book is going to be bought by most all AP Human Geography students, and we'll be using it throughout the year, and more so at the end of the year. And as I didn't turn off my transitions here, we played that the first day. Students can tell you about it. All right, and this just gives you a text of what you're looking at in terms of the 2 books that should be at home and required by each student. This is why we studied human geography. This slide shows the syllabus. And what I'm going to do is this syllabus will guide us throughout the entire year, what teachers call as the scope of sequence or the curricular mapping. You will look at exactly how the course is laid out in terms of weeks per unit studied and when summative, informative, SSR, and all the policies and expectations I'm about to highlight here in the next few slides. Classroom expectations: no food, water, cell phones, you can read through them, and they do not need to bring books to class. They will be required to bring a writing utensil and notebook. Bell signifies the start of class, and bell signifies the end of class. And we will go through these and vote on them as an entire class, but really the premise behind this is creating an optimal, rigorous classroom setting. The next classroom expectations, again, bringing a utensil and folder and a notebook are required. I would say a utensil and a notebook is required. You can choose to keep a folder in the class, or you can put everything in your Google Drive. Most of the students are going to do their Google Drive for everything except for the writing utensil and a notebook they should bring to class. And make sure that notebook is only for AP Human Geography. That's where they'll record all their notes given in class. Some students might choose to write on a sheet of paper, then take a screenshot and put it in their Google Drive, organize it amongst units. That's fine. Assignments are due upon the date that's stressed on Schoology, usually before class starts on the day it's due. I will never spring a homework assignment and tell you it's due in 24 hours. I will at least give you 48 hours for all assignments, all major projects 2 weeks, and all major tests 2 to 3 weeks. And you can see all these dates, in fact, online through Schoology, Infinite Campus, and weekly assignments and learning objectives and content objectives and ICANN statements and rubrics on the board. Late work will be penalized marginally, but again, it's important to turn in work. It's not busy work. It's to help supplement what we're doing in class. And then the main way to disseminate information of new content will be through Cornell Notes. Students will be expected to stay in their seat, and we're going to talk about respectful behavior, and that's just one criteria to being respectful. And then always ask questions if you're stuck. And then starting day one, we expect attitude to be positive, and positive will be something that we stress day in, day out of every single class period. All right, participation. No head down, no sleeping, no cell phones, no tardiness, no disrespect to equipment, students, yourself, teacher, other students, iPads, no talking during films, applying makeup, other inappropriate use of iPads, social media, games, sites, etc. The expectation is constant engagement, and if you can remember constant engagement, you'll remember all these. Others. You don't work on class from other classes. In this class, you do strictly AP Human Geography. We no eating in the class, except for there will be exceptional days, except for when I tell you that you're allowed to eat. Again, respect everything, and don't talk when somebody else is talking. Make sure only one person is heard. Honor the voice that's speaking, and be active listeners to that one person. And make sure you know the ICANN statements, and make sure you know the content objective, and make sure you know how it's graded every day. And here's how it's graded. You will have 2 assessments. One will be formative, the other will be summative. When we break down the formative, it's really 3 pieces. You're going to be doing in-class work, you're going to be doing projects in the class, you're going to be doing group work, you're going to be doing Socratic seminars. And group works will be broken down: Socratic seminars, classes, level questioning, discussion groups, tutorials, investigations, etc. But then we'll get into summative assessments, and those are going to be the big piece in this class, and those are going to be 90% of the grade. That's going to be 2-pronged. It's going to be your multiple choice test, which is a hard test at the end of the unit, and also the FRQ, which are the 2 components of the AP exam. Everything done in this class is a replication of the AP exam. And there will also be chapter quizzes, key issue quizzes, and a lot of those I'll have as formative. I don't do too many summative. I do most of the quizzes formative. I give a lot of quizzes, in fact, but they're formative. They don't affect the grade very much. And then here's a link to one of my Google Docs, and this talks about 10 effective strategies that I've accumulated over the last 6 years of teaching this class from former students. Key dates to know. The first is the Raptor Choice sign up. For those of you that are an AVID or on an IEP or on a 504, I'm going to encourage you, I'm talking to the counselors and administrators, that you are signed up for this Raptor Choice class. One other thing I'm working on is getting these students in the Raptor advisory. And we'll talk more about that as administrators send out the paperwork to join Raptor Choice. Schoology is going to be used for summative assessments. It's going to be used for calendars. It's going to be used for daily assignments. Schoology is going to house all materials, so you'll access all materials, presentations, homework assignments, classwork assignments, projects, due dates for assignments, and how you're graded will all be done through Schoology. Know when the key issues are due. Again, they'll be very predictable. I'll have all key issues laid out at least 2 weeks in advance of when they're due. AP test is going to be the 14th, which is a Tuesday of May at 8 a.m. We'll talk more about that test as the year goes on. One helpful note is that the AP exam does not, I repeat, does not affect your transcript or your GPA or your grade in Eastridge High School. It is strictly for the National Board, AP National Board, and they use it throughout the years of your child as they continue on the AP track, which I hope they all do. AP registration will be somewhere in March. That'll be done by the counselors, and they do it differently every year. And they'll give me more information, whatever information I give to you in a very prompt fashion. And Kaplan calendar is due in December. Kaplan and Barron books need to be read by the end of March, and then all Barron books practice tests and questions need to be done by April, the beginning of April. We'll be done with all class content by April 24th. All right, let's take a look at last year. In fact, the last 6 years teaching this class, the results have really been 5 of the last 6 years have been above 80%. 1 year was 76% where students passed the AP exam. That's remarkable when we look at it in comparison to the national standards, where less than 48% passed the test this last year, and it's been right around that 45 to 50% on a national scale past the AP exam. Now, it's even more impressive with what the parents have done and the children I receive and I have the pleasure to work with. 60% of them have scored at least a 5 on the multiple choice test. That is extremely impressive. Think of it this way. 60% score a 5. That means we have more students graduate with a 5 than we have nationally, 12% more than what students get with the AP exam of a 3, 4, and a 5. And then when we look at the second prong, the FRQ, 54% of my students last year had a 5. Again, that is extremely high compared to the national average, which really targets an 18% of my classes throughout the last 6 years, roughly. And again, it fluctuates. 15 to 18% does not pass the AP exam. And this year, I want to make sure I capture those students and really help them and find the supportive services to make sure that they pass with a 3 at least or a 4 on this test. And again, the exam does not impact their grades or GPA. I'll refer to this group as a target group. The target group is not a negative connotation. A target group is somebody that just needs supportive services. Those could be AVID students, 504 students. It could be IEP students. Again, these are students that are very important to our population and what we do as a cohort. They are expected to do the following. One is enroll in Raptor Choice. That Raptor Choice will be offered in late September, and you want to choose Bidwell, Effective Test-Taking Strategies, AP Human Geography. Make sure you register for that class. In that class, that Raptor Choice class, you will get support with FRQs, multiple choice tests, and understanding of the content. You will rewrite FRQs, retake multiple choice tests up to 80%, meaning that in a class like AP Human Geography, if you retake all FRQs and multiple choice tests and you do great on formative, you could end up with a B to a B plus in the class, which is an A in a regular class, which would be completely, if you understand this, you would never have your kid drop out of an AP college class. You would never have them drop out of AP Human Geography. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be rigorous. The middle school doesn't set them up for a class like this. They fail miserably. But they will learn more in this year than they'll ever learn in their entire year of schooling previous to this. And I would encourage you to keep these kids in here. Also, in this Raptor Choice, I'll assign study groups where they'll have connections through social media platforms. I'll lessen the time of homework outside of class because we can complete a lot of it in class. And also, they'll have a chance to work in groups where they do practice work. And also, there will be the one-on-one assistance or individualized, personalized learning that every student needs. But again, we don't have time as teachers. But within this Raptor Choice or in my advisory, they can get that one-on-one support. And I would encourage you, every single one of you that is struggling in this class, target the advisories. Try to get into my advisory. Try to get in the Raptor Choice. That means 3 days a week. You have at least 20 minutes. That's 60 minutes a week. You get these support services. All right, and then what others say about me, other students, and then you can click on some other links of what students say. Same one. Okay, and that will conclude the presentation. All right, and moving forward, if you have any questions that is not outlined or not clarified in this presentation, please email me. I repeat, please email me. Do not call me. I don't respond to calls. I respond to emails. And email me with a very pertinent question that asks me for clarification, expanding on ideas, or any ideas or suggestions that tie into the national standards I would be open for. And with that being said, we're going to have a great ride. Parents, children, and myself. Thank you for letting me have each and every one of your special children in my class. Signing off, Mr. Bidwell.